Full and uncut versions available on Patreon. Check in the description below.
Greetings once again, Pokemaniacs. Duuz-Diz-Din back again with more of the Pokemon Adventures manga, where previously we had the finale to the Ruby and Sapphire arc, where Ruby and Sapphire, to a certain degree, were finally able to put a halt, with the help of Norman, Steven, Wallace, the Elite Four, just about everyone. They put a stop to the fight between Kyogre and Groudon. Well, more or less, it was more like Kyogre and Groudon finally realized the fight wasn't really worth it. But it came at a cost. Steven lost his life because of his awakening of the Reggies. Yes, here, using the legendary Pokemon tend to come at a cost, especially depending on how you awaken them. And Norman, taking Rayquaza into battle, ended up pretty much losing his life as well. But, of all things, Maxie and Archie weren't done just yet, still looking to dominate the entirety of the planet and submit it to their will. We come to find out the reason why Norman was so distant from his son, both physically and emotionally, being that he was making up for Ruby's mistake as a child. Well, not so much a mistake, but an accident that led to the release of Rayquaza. But with newfound spirit and determination, Ruby and Sapphire are able to overcome the two maniacal leaders. And it is only with the help of all things, Celebi, that Ruby had captured on his way out of Johto, that those who had lost their lives were able to be revived in the process, with Celebi apparently destroying the red and blue orbs that control Kyogre and Groudon. And while the Hoenn is a little worse for wear, everyone's still alive, and that's what matters most. Ruby and Sapphire are able to meet their deadline of obtaining gym badges and contest ribbons, and they're able to celebrate Sapphire's birthday. Unfortunately, we see Giovanni entering into the Hoenn region with 3 new underlings, where he goes and obtains shards of the red and blue orb. You haven't seen Giovanni in quite some time, and knowing what I know about him, I can only guess what he's up to, especially considering he never made an appearance during the Mask of Ice situation, despite the likes of Sabrina, Lieutenant Surge, and Koga awaiting his return. But now that he's potentially back, will Team Rocket be in full force? And will they show why Team Rocket usually stands at the pinnacle? Join me as I find out, won't you? Alright. I guess, I said Emerald was one of the original games that I never got around to playing, but yeah, I never got to play Fire Red and Leaf Green. I stopped literally before the remake started coming out. Not for any real reason, it's just stopped really getting the money to be able to buy these games anymore. Ah, that's a cool cover. And you get my favorite Pokemon and a legendary on top of that, Deoxys. Never got to catch a Deoxys myself, but the Destiny Deoxys movie was just so cool to me at that time. When that came out, I was just like, oh man, what an intense Pokemon. Now, it probably doesn't quite function that way, but when it comes to the Pokemon games, I've always been more of I love the visuals, and if the anime can play it up, I usually go for those Pokemon, more so than stats and stuff like that. If you're all about the stats, I get it, you hate me, I understand. But getting to see Red in his new design, a combination of his, manga-based design as well as the updated Red design, which is pretty interesting, because as time goes on, Red looks less and less like this manga counterpart. Red, Pikachu, and do we have 2 Deoxys? Or is this just showing off the 2 forms of Deoxys? And if you wanted to see me already talk about Deoxys, check out my Pokemon Rangers reaction. Okay, Red and Blue's teams. Okay, I guess I should add in some of the ones that I see here, since I'm already kind of cheating to a certain degree, because you got Bizor, and you got Charizard, and Gyarados. Already off to a pretty good start. Okay, a bit of a telling of how things went down. So Red started when he was, 10 or 11? So 2 years later, he's about 12 or 13. A year later, 13 or 14. Okay, so what? It's been He should be about 15 or 16 by this point, right? And from we last saw him, he was off training with Gold. I wonder if that'll be talked about at all. All right. Oh, this is titled very different. Adventure number 268, The Escape. Oh yeah, this was supposed to be included. This in the next chapter was supposed to be included at the end of the previous story arc, but it fits a little bit better for Red and Violet and Leaf Green. See, I like that they used the remakes as a way of reintroducing stuff. Too bad they only really ever did it up to the remake of Diamond and Pearl. We have minions of the Mask of Ice turning on Spotlight, shouting, "We have a breakout!" And narration reads as we see the young Green and Silver escape with, another of my favorites, Sneasel and Jigglypuff. The narration says, the story takes place a few years before the masked man that terrorized the Kanto and Johto region. You see Silver trip, and Green turns saying, "Are you alright, Silver?" As she ducks behind a corner waiting for him to get up. She says, "Today is the only day we can make our escape. Let's pull off our masks before we break out of here." They both reach for each other's masks. They go 1, 2, 3. They pop it off and dive behind some bushes. Green looks at her saying, "Came off easily. Just as I thought, his power is weak today." Oh, so the masks were like affixed to their faces? Jeez. Green then turns to Silver saying, "So that's what you look like. Come on, you've got to hurry up and get out of here now." Silver then recalls Green's words saying, "Oh, no." Silver then thinks to himself, "We were kidnapped by Ho-Oh when we were very young. 3 pairs of boys and girls were chosen to be the masked children and trained to be the arms and legs of the Mask of Ice. But Green and I have always looked for an opportunity to escape." Silver watches as Green takes out a freaking very detailed diagram of the area around here. Green looks at it saying, "Let's do a quick double check, Silver. This is where we are now. We managed to get out of the building where we've been living and training all this time. But the whole area is surrounded by a force field created by psychic-type Pokémon. And the only way to get past it is through this underground passage. It's the only way outside." She opens up a hatch in the grass out in the lawn. They make their way down the ladder, saying, "But that's all I know. It was too hard for me to fully investigate the route leading outside in advance." They make their way to a corridor, and as they jump down, Green looks around saying, "Plus, his room is somewhere between here and the exit." Voices call out, "Hey, they went that way. Over there. Don't let them escape." Green whispers, "Over here," and they try to make their way down. Cam spots them saying, "There they are." Green tells Silver, "Don't let them see your face." But Sham, Carl, Will, and Karen are all on them in an instant. Sham tells her Meowth to use Scratch. Carl tells his Houndour to use Ember. Will tells his Natu to use Psychic. And Karen tells her Eevee to use Bite. With all the attacks going left and right, Silver is hit in the leg. Green calls out to him, but she then, in an instant, hits a fire switch, which sends out fire retardant or some kind of fire smoke mist, whatever, which causes a whole bunch of, masking, allowing them to get away. As the others are sent coughing, Sham says, "Don't worry, I saw which way they went." But as they make their way, they find nothing more than a dead end. Will questions, "Are you sure you saw them turn this way?" Sham says, "Positive." Karen says, "Let's search the other passage." Okay, I was thinking that's probably Jigglypuff acting as the wall, which, if they had spent more time outside, maybe they would have realized that wall probably looked a little bit more bulbous and pink than anything else, but they probably don't question anything that goes on in their master's headquarters. But regardless, Jigglypuff acting as the wall deflates, and Green tells Silver, "We don't need to worry about anybody else coming after us. The exit must be nearby." But as they make their way down, they see a bizarre ice sculpture with the Mask of Ice looming over the 6 kids he had abducted. Green touches it, saying, "That was a surprise. It's all right, though, just a statue. It's got a carving of us on it. This must be his room." Silver gets nervous, saying, "Careful, Green. We don't know where he is. He could be in there right now." Green says, "That's right. And he is in there, actually. He's sleeping on the other side of that curtain." Silver says, "What?" Green says, "Don't worry. he can barely move today. There's a day once every few months when he gets really weak for some reason. And if my calculations are correct, that day is today. Silver then narrates, Green was right. Later we found out that at that point, the Mask of Ice had already tried to travel through time. A light would shine down on the Elix Forest Shrine when the moon was waxing or waning. He didn't know about the Pokeball that can capture time, so he would try to catch the light without it, and every time he would get hurt. Green looks around, saying, it's not enough to escape with just the clothes on our backs. He looks around the Mask of Ice office, saying, and manages to find the Rainbow and Silver Wing. She says, let's take these with us too. And they make their way out. As they race down the corridor, Green says, I can see it. There it is. The outside world. Later we see Price creating an ice sculpture, saying, they've escaped. Impossible. What's this I feel? Loneliness? That's an emotion I thought I'd rid myself of those long ago. Oh, that's an emotion I thought I'd rid myself of those long ago. And we see an ice sculpture that doesn't really depict the truth, where it shows Price and all the kids he took a lot happier than they actually were. Silver narration says, and that was the first day of the rest of our lives, of freedom on the outside. Green and I managed to survive on our own, but the memories of that man left a shadow on us. You see a young Silver watching Green eat with her Jigglypuff, saying, well done, Jigglypuff. Silver's narration says for some reason she nicknamed all her Pokemon except Jigglypuff, her oldest partner. You see a flashback to Green being berated by the Mask of Ice, who says, nickname for your Pokemon? It doesn't need one. Silver's narration says there was a thorn that remained stuck in her heart. But after a while I began to notice changes in her. I found out why. It was because she had met other Pokedex holders. And now, I guess this is present day? I'm not sure. Silver's on his Pokegear saying, today's the day, Green. He says, yeah, I'm a little nervous. I can't believe I'm finally going to see my mom and dad again. Oh. Silver says, I heard they've been traveling the world in search of you. Green says, uh-huh. And we finally got in touch with each other. I'm sorry, Silver. Silver, with a melancholic smile, says, it's okay, Green. You've been looking after me all this time, even though you don't know who I am or where I'm from. Not even my birthday. Don't worry about me. But it's obvious Green can't help but do that as she calls out to Silver. But Silver, still with a joyful smile, says, did you get the hat and dress I sent? I thought you'd like to wear them for this special day. Oh, it comes from him. That's actually kind of cute. And Green, with a very familiar looking outfit, if you've been in the Pokemon community for a while, says, I did, and I love them. Thanks, Silver. Well then, talk to you later. But do you think a fancy outfit like this suits me? Silver simply says, of course it does. Silver's narration says, I had no idea that this was going to be the beginning of a new battle for Green and the original Pokedex holders. We see Silver over by the Tin Tower, I think. And this was where we first introduced them, right? Well, he turns to his Sneasel saying, well, Sneasel, we better get going too. He then looks at his handkerchief with his name engraved on it, and he takes off on his Murkrow. He then thinks, it's been about 6 months since that fierce battle between Kyogre and Groudon. Oh, that's the end of it. Huh, interesting. So she does get to see her parents. I had been wondering, because I would think that would have come up almost immediately. But maybe they were just too hard to get in touch with right off the bat. I'm glad she finally gets this moment, though. Alright, chapter 269. Nice. Return to Pallet Town. And all the forms of Deoxys. Interesting. This is a very familiar looking scene. We cut to the Kanto region in Pallet Town, where we see Nidorino? Yeah, Nidorino being, I guess you could say, accosted by some kids. They say, it bounced off again. Okay, it's my turn now. Girl says, you really think you can catch it? The boy with the Pokeball says, of course I can. I'm going to capture this Nidorino and train it. Oh yeah. He throws the Pokeball and it just bounces off the Nidorino's head. The boy says, huh? I failed. A very familiar looking figure says, that's because you threw the Pokeball first. You have to fight the Pokemon before you try to catch it. Hey, it looks like you have a powerful Gengar. Bring it out to fight for you. Come on. The boy says, what? Okay. Oh, it's just like the opening of... that's cheeky. The boy brings out his Gengar. It's like, yeah, you have a freaking Gengar. How do you not know how to fight? Well, then again, it might be something that was passed down to him. The boy sends in his Gengar and starts to battle with the Nidorino. Red says, see? This time you didn't fail. Suddenly, Blue enters the picture saying, hurry up now. You need to get going. The young girl says, excuse me, but are you two? We see Red with his Venusaur and Blue with his Charizard, looking cool. As Red and Blue make their way down the path of Pallet Town, Red says Pallet Town hasn't changed a bit. Seems like forever since we've been back. Did you notice? Those kids are just like us before we got our Pokédexes. Blue says, you're right. See, it's funny. The more Red looks like his game counterpart, the more I'm just like, hey, you're talking too much. Even though other versions of Red talk plenty aside from the one in the game. Red says, Professor Oak, your grandpa, went to check on the Hoenn region after the big battle there, but he should be back by now. Okay, so they did hear about the battle in Hoenn. I wonder at what point Red will meet Ruby and Sapphire. The box reads, Red, a Pokedex holder who won the Indigo Plateau Pokemon League. Blue says, yeah, he's expecting us. Box reads, Blue, also a Pokedex holder and the grandson of renowned Pokemon researcher Professor Oak. Which, dang, he doesn't even get to be called the runner-up at the Pokemon League. Blue says, don't want to keep him waiting, but you keep getting sidetracked. Blue sighs, and Red just chuckles to himself. We cut to Professor Oak's laboratory, and as Blue opens the door, Red says, long time no see, Professor Oak. Professor? They look around, Red saying, strange, he doesn't seem to be home. Red then notices something on the table, all addressed to Red, Blue, and Green. It looks like Game Boy Advances. Red turns to Blue saying, what's this? There's one for you and me, Blue. Blue says, it's an envelope from the Vermilion City Shipping Association. Red says, Vermilion City? The harbor town? So maybe the reason he wanted to see us has something to do with Vermilion City? Guess we'll find out as soon as we look inside. Red begins to open the letter, but suddenly the door crashes open. Oh no, there's a crash outside. Red and Blue go rushing out, shouting, what? As they see something zipping around a Venusaur and Charizard. Oh no. Not just zipping around, injuring them. Well, Charizard and Venusaur get badly injured. Something slashing at them, or smacking into them. Red shouts, what's going on? What are they fighting against? Blue says, whatever it is, it's too quick. They both bring out their Pokédex, and Blue says, Charizard, Flamethrower. While Red has his Venusaur use Solar Beam, but whatever it is spirals into the sky before it can be hit, leaving the others pretty much dumbfounded. Red then finally puts on his vest, and Blue questions, what are you doing, Red? Red zips up his vest, saying, whatever that was, we need to talk to Professor Oak and fast. Why isn't he here anyway? He called us all the way out here to meet with him. I'm gonna go look for him. He then gets on his backpack. Blue says, okay, I'll go with you. But first, let's listen to this. The device next to those envelopes. What is it? Oh no, Red says, that device next to those envelopes. What is it? Blue says, a fame checker. Basically, it's a sound recorder. Red questions, you think your grandpa left us a message? Blue tells him, maybe. It's worth a try. Fame checker? Is that a thing? Oh yeah, it is. Fame checker. Miscellaneous information about famous people such as gym leaders. That's kind of weird. Yeah, no. Of course I have no information about that. As they activate the fame checker. Oh, okay. It's, I guess, Professor Oak's voice. And as his voice rings out of it, it says, Dear Pokédex holders, listen carefully. I'm going to have to take away your Pokédexes, which shocks Red and Blue. Oh, that's already in. Well, dang. But he wouldn't take it away without a reason. Maybe he's just trying to update it because he's finding out just how many more Pokemon are actually out there than he thought. Wouldn't be the first time. Alright, chapter 270. Now you see me. It's just weird that there's no Pokemon names included in this. Alright, we have Red and Blue listening to the fame checker, with Professor Oak's voice saying, Dear Pokédex holders, listen carefully. I'm going to have to take away your Pokédexes. The computer on my desk is connected to the storage system. I want you to place your Pokédexes in there. Oh, that's the end of the explanation, really. Red gets a little nervous saying, no matter how many times I listen to it, it's the same. This message from Professor Oak. This message, recorded on this fame checker with my name on it. Blue takes a moment and then walks back inside. Red calls out to him and Blue activates the device and puts his Pokédex in. He then outstretches his arm at Red. Red takes one last look at his Pokédex and hands it over to Blue. They put their devices in their dexes into the device. Suddenly there's a flash of electricity inside and the Pokédex is teleported to Oak? Because I doubt he'd destroy them. But Red looks a little nervous, saying our Pokédexes are gone. Blue turns to Red, saying, I have no idea why he decided to take the Pokédexes away from us, but Red says with a smile, if that's what Professor Oak wants, that's what he gets. Right. Same goes for me. He then throws his Pokédoll, bringing out his Aerodactyl, and he races out, saying, let's go, Blue, to Vermilion City. And Blue hops on his Charizard, saying, yeah. Oh, but before Red can get too far away, he sees Green's little letter and stuff, and tells his Venusaur to grab it. Venusaur does just that and hands it over to Red, and they take off. Over in Vermilion City, we see, oh, hey, it's Green, and she looks good in their new outfit. See, it's funny though, because her now officially having the outfit, she looks so much more innocent than the Green I'm used to. Because she just looks like the Green from the games who looks like just a pleasant girl, which I'm not saying Green isn't. It's just she doesn't look like someone who'd steal from you so easily as Green usually does. Oh, is this the one deckhand who was usually working with Lieutenant Surge, right? You see Green sitting on her Blastoise with the does this guy have a name? No, he's just called Sailor. Well, a Sailor comes up saying, you're awfully early. The ship won't be launching for some time, you know. Why are you here already? Green says, with a little parasol twirling in her hands, I'm going to meet my father and mother. I haven't seen them for a very long time. The sailor says, I see. No wonder you look so excited. Okay, then in that case, why don't you get on board now? It'll be more fun to wait on the ship, won't it? Plus, you're kind of cute. Calm it down, buddy. She may be a little bit older than when we first saw her, but ain't that much older. The Green gets excited, saying, really? Okay. The sailor questions, do you have your tri-pass with you? Oh yeah, for ships and stuff. She brings it out, saying yes. The sailor then looks over to the ship, saying, oh, wait a sec. I haven't connected the gangplank to the ship yet. Green says, no problem. And she calls out her Blastoise, who, comes out of his shell. Much to the sailor's shock, she tells her Blastoise, let's go. And, her usual way of getting around, since she's not one for bird Pokemon, she has her Blastoise act as a jetpack, like freaking Flood from Super Mario Sunshine. That took me forever to beat when it first came out. I was too young to know how to really beat that when it initially came out. Not to mention it was kind of hard in a lot of places. It looks weirder now that she's older, but Blue makes her way up to the ship and waves to the sailor afterwards, saying, thank you so much. I'll take a look around the ship while I wait. And the box reads, Green, Pokemon trainer, 3rd place winner at the Pokemon League. But Blue didn't get that. The sailor says, hey, I thought I'd seen that girl somewhere before. She's the one Professor Oak gave the Pokedex to. She finished in the top ranks at the Pokemon League, the one before last. As Green makes her way through the ship. Which ship is this? Oh, it's just it's called the Sea Gallop. Okay. Oh. As Green makes her way through the ship, she says, wow, what a luxurious ship. You should all get to explore it. And so she brings out her Clefable, Jigglypuff, which I'm surprised didn't evolve into a Wigglytuff at this point, Snubble, and Nidorina. Okay, had to double check. Oh, really? The Jigglypuff with the parasol. Yeah, Jigglypuff shakes out of its parasol form and starts looking around. Green questions, what's wrong, Diddy? Oh. As something moves behind her through the corridor, Green turns, thinking something's there, something's here. But the figure then starts rushing through her and her Pokemon, pretty much attacking them. Green calls back to her Blastoise and all her Pokemon. Meanwhile, Red and Blue are still making their way to Vermilion City. Red looks at a little card he's holding, saying, hey, this was inside the envelope Professor Oak left for us. It says Tri-Pass on it. Do you have any idea what that is? Blue says, nope, first time I've seen it. And as they get over the Sea Gallop, Blue says, there it is, the Vermilion City Harbor. So wait, how did they end up all at the ship? I mean, this is a trip that Green is taking to see her parent. What? What is going on here? Oh god, and they just leave down from their Pokemon. That's a little bit much. Freaking shonen protagonists. They land right before the sailor and then recall their Pokemon. The sailor saying, you caught me by surprise. Oh, you're holding a Tri-Pass. Are you boarding the Sea Gallop as well? Oh, there's the name. And then he just starts shoving them on board, saying, get on board, get on board. It's about to depart any minute now. Phew, you made it. Some passengers arrived too early and some passengers arrived too late almost. You wouldn't have to be Pokedex holders. You received your Pokedexes from Professor Oak, would you? Who received Pokedexes from Professor Oak? Though, considering what's happened, Red says, well, yes, sort of. The sailor says, wow, I met so many celebrities today. It's weird to think of them as celebrities, though. I mean, after everything that's happened, shit, even in the games, you're usually a celebrity once you've gone through your journey. But a voice calls out, calling all passengers, the Sea Gallop is now departing from Vermilion City Harbor. Our destination is the first island of Kanto's Sevi Island. Yeah, that was an addition, right? Which I find kind of hilarious, considering that the Orange Islands were made such a big deal, only for the Sevi Islands to be, made known. Okay, they were introduced in Fire Red and Leaf Green. Okay, interesting. Our destination is the first island of Kanto's Sevi Islands, one island. Yeah. Hey, how many islands are there? 7? Sevi, 7 islands? Yep, 7 islands. Okay. Thank you. Obvious thing is obvious. So as the Sea Gallop takes off, we see inside Green is doing her best to avoid being hit by whatever's just running roughshod through all of her Pokemon. She thinks to herself, first I have to figure out what I'm fighting against. She reaches into her big old bag and says, shoot, I don't have my Pokédex. Oh, wait, did she already give up her Pokédex? Interesting. And she brings out the Sylph Scope. I'm glad that she still has that. Saying, then I'll use this, the Sylph Scope, which lets me see ghosts. Oh, okay, so it is. I was kind of wondering, but you can't see anything. He says, I've improved it so it can identify any Pokemon. Now, show yourself. But as she zooms in with the scope, she sees the form of none other than Deoxys. And its, what form is that? Attack form. But just as Green says she's attacked by Deoxys and then restrained by it. Jeez. Wait, is it invisible? Why? How is it invisible? As she's bound by the creature, she thinks, I can't breathe or move. I'm being strangled by some kind of invisible force. But suddenly, some kind of darkness appears under the Sylph Scope she dropped, and it starts to fall in and then breaks. What? Green thinks, my Sylph Scope got dragged into that darkness. Okay, does nobody hear what's going on with her? Because we have Red and Blue sitting on the top floor on a bench on the outside, just kind of waiting. Red looking at the Tripass as he says, the Tripass Professor Oak left us. We're tickets to this ferry. We got on without a clue as to where we're going. What kind of place is this one island anyway? Blue simply says, beats me. Oh, and jeez, I guess that's just Pikachu for you. Red's Pikachu just pops out of his Pokeball and goes scampering over, with Red saying, hey Pika, what's up? And wait, don't tell me. It tugs at a random person's pant leg. Oh, okay, I thought it was yellow for a second, but it's friggin' Bill. And it's friggin' far-fetched. Bill, seeing Pikachu, says, I've seen that there Pikachu before. Are you? And then Pikachu shocks Bill, and he holds up Pikachu overjoyed, saying, yep, this electric shock, I knew it. Pika, does that mean? And he looks over saying, Red, Blue. And Red says, Bill. Red says, long time no see. While Bill says, how's it going? While Blue very nonchalantly says, is Daisy here too? Okay. I don't know if that'll ever be canon in the comics, but in the games, but hey, Bill and Daisy. You know what? That's actually not a bad pairing, all things considered. Bill says, nope, she stayed behind. Very nervous like. I do find myself wondering if that'll go somewhere. Bill says, never imagined I'd run into y'all on the Sea Gallop. What brings y'all to one island? Vacation? Red says, no, Bill interrupts saying, it sure is a nice place. If I didn't have to work, I'd... But Red questions, you're going there for work? Bill says, yep. I'm heading down to meet Celio, a researcher buddy of mine. Gonna help him tweak his transporter. Oh, the storage people. I remember way back when wondering who the heck they were for the longest time. I thought they were just used for Pokemon TCG cards, but I didn't realize they were in actual games too. Bill explains, I developed the Pokemon transporter and storage system with some pals. They're spread out all over now. Celio's one of them. He's in charge of managing the system at Sevi Islands. Red questions Sevi Islands. Phil says, what? Don't you know? It's an archipelago. And that's how I have to say it in his way of speaking. Archipelago made up of 7 islands. One island is just one of them. He then gets a ring on his Pokegear saying, oh, hold on a minute. Speaking of trouble, it's Celio. Hey, Bill speaking. I'll be there shortly. How's it going in your neck of the woods? You see Celio working at his computer with what is that called? Hoppet. Yeah, there we go. Hoppet. Floating around him. He says, nothing's changed. I still can't connect to the storage system. As a matter of fact, it's gotten worse. At first, we just had trouble connecting to the Kanto mainland. But now we can't even connect to the other islands of Sevi. I can't figure out why this is happening. Bill tells him, well, I'll take a look-see when I get there. Meet me at the network center, all right? He hangs up saying, what a pain. Suddenly there's a dinging sound as an announcement comes across the ship saying, calling all passengers. Thank you for sailing with the Sea Gallop. We are now docking at one island. And the ship docks and everyone gets off. Meanwhile, Green's still being friggin' strangled. Seriously. What is going on? What is the disconnect here? Green thinks while she's being held by the invisible Deoxys of all things. The ship has arrived, but I can't let the invisible opponent get onto that island. She goes clutching at a nearby doorway saying, I have to warn somebody about this. As she looks out, she sees her mom and dad. She's not gonna actually miss them, is she? She thinks, Dad, Mom. Her parents actually spot her on the ship, and they are overjoyed. Green thinks, they're looking at my photograph. They've seen me. They're coming this way. He then says no. He then thinks the darkness is going to... And his parents are about to walk over the dark void on the deck of the ship. We then see Red and Blue. Red then notices saying, hey, isn't that Green? But he sees Green flailing. Says, something's wrong. You've got to help her. And he leaps over the top deck that he was on. Oh, jeez. This is messed up. Green's mom and dad rush towards her. Green thinking, Dad, Mom, no, stop. And they fall into the void, much to Green's horror. What the heck? And the void disappears. As Green is released from Deoxys' grip, he falls to her knees. Red and Blue stand there stunned. As Green shakes, he cries out, why? Dad, Mom, why? Jesus! What the heck? That's actually really messed up. Like, dude. Okay, so he's 16. Oh, thank you. I know I keep getting told how old he is, but I keep forgetting because every time like new information comes in or just information from before it comes in, I start trying to calculate it in my mind and I'm just like, wait, how old is he again? Which, makes a lot of sense. The games actually do age up the protagonists, but they don't always put it out there directly. And it ends up being a situation where, yeah, they look a little bit older, even in the remakes. You compare Red's original design to his remake design, it's just like, okay, no, he doesn't look like a 10-year-old now. Before, it's just like, the chibified art style, yeah, I can believe he's 10. And now it's just like, no, I don't buy that he's 10. Yeah, I could believe that he's like 15, 13 at the youngest, but I don't buy that he's 10. I know 10-year-olds. I'm around 10-year-olds. I see 10-year-olds. Like, they're sometimes not really that big of a growth spurt until they hit like 11 or 12. But then again, no, some of them are like 11 in the game, so I guess. I don't know. Some growth spurts happen at about 11, but I'm used to it being more around the 12-year-old. Maybe. I'm around too many kids who have gone through growth spurts at like between 11 and 12. So I guess it's possible. Maybe I'm being a little too picky with that. Oh, his birthday is August 8th? Oh, that is very close to my birthday. Wait, we're both Leos? No wonder I like him so much. All right, chapter 271. Now you don't. I get you. Cheeky. We have Green looking where her parents were previously. She calls out, Why? Dad, Mom. He staggers to the edge of the balcony of the ship, and as she says, how could this happen? He passes out, falling over the edge. Red and Blue shout no, and Red shouts out his Polyrath. Polyrath manages to grab her before she hits the ground, and as Red and Bill, who's now in the mix, make their way over, Red says, nice work, Polly. Meanwhile, Blue looks around at all of Green's down Pokemon as he says, is the enemy still nearby? Sends out his Scizor. He tells his Scizor to capture the invisible enemy, and Scizor just starts swinging, but he does manage to get a hold of something. Blue tells Scizor to hit it, but it disappears in Scizor's grasp. Blue says, whatever you were fighting is gone now. So it was still there. That's so odd. Meanwhile, Red, now checking on Green, calls up saying, Blue, you had to take her to a hospital. But as Red makes his way with Green, Bill looks down, seeing Green's hat as well as a journal. The journal reads, I finally get to meet my mom and dad tomorrow. Oh, God. Really twisting the knife on this one. And then I guess Bill collects Green's things and they make their way. Blue meeting up with them. Well, we see what seems to be, I don't know, a shaman or something? A little jingly staff thing. He cut to a few hours later at the Pokemon Net Center. So I guess that's the closest thing to a hospital we have. Well, Red and Blue are sitting with Green laid up in the bed. Bill is meeting with Celio right past the partition. Bill says, we're mighty thankful, Celio. We don't know anything about this island. Glad you were here to help. Celio says, no problem, Bill. I'm just glad there was a bed free at the first aid station. And those poor Pokemon, her Blastoise and the others are being treated right now as well. Apparently their trainer has been traumatized by this incident. That's what the doctor said. So yeah, like Green didn't have enough trauma. Celio makes his way saying, well, I'll be going then. Bill says, sure thing, and thanks. Red and Blue go over to meet Bill. Red saying, Bill, are you sure that Green came to this island to meet her father and mother? Bill says, no doubt about it. As Farfetch hands over her journal, he says, I was sorry to do it, but I read her diary. Found it on the floor. They read the passage about her mom and dad. Red says, that means those people who disappeared must have been Green's parents. Bill says, yep. Hard to believe, huh? Blue says, you can't help but feel sorry for her. The important thing now is to find out what happened to him. Blue flips through Green's diary and says, according to her diary, Green was at Pallet Town yesterday. Red says, what? Blue then adds, and it says here she returned her Pokedex to Professor Oak. And doesn't even look like she thought twice about it. Then again, she did kind of steal it, so. But Red is shocked. He says, she returned her Pokedex to Professor Oak and was attacked by a mysterious enemy? Just like us. Blue says, right, this is no coincidence. It's a good thing you retrieved her diary. He hands it over to Bill, who looks incredibly mad for some reason. Or maybe he just doesn't feel that he should have just been looking through it. But I mean, it's the only way to find out more information. Blue then reaches into his, fanny pack saying, but I found something even better. Green's Sylph Scope. It's badly damaged, but the playback function still works. She must have been wearing it when she was fighting that invisible enemy. The scope should tell us something. They access the scope and try to bring something on the little monitor in the center. They're shocked by what they see. Deoxys, running the ones with all of her Pokemon, just man. That's just how Deoxys does. Just comes into the picture, starts kicking ass, and leaves. Bill says, what the heck is that? None of this makes a lick of sense. We don't know who the enemy is. We don't know what ability it has or how it attacked you and her. Why? And what for? Red turns away saying, right, we don't know any of that. But there is one thing we're sure of. Blue and I are going to fight this enemy, and we'll defeat it. No matter what. Green better not be incapacitated for the entirety of this storyline. I'll actually be mad about that. As the two boys make their way out of the Pokemon Center station, whatever, Bill calls out saying, hold on, Red. What makes you think you got a chance of beating it? Red says nothing. When it attacked us at Pallet Town, it was much stronger and faster than us. Bill panics saying, then what are you fixing to do? Blue simply says, we'll just have to train and improve our skills then. Bill says, that doesn't make any sense. I swear to God, Bill, that's like your catchphrase. He yells at the two of them, saying, I haven't met any trainer stronger than you two in the last 5 years. How are you going to improve your skills when you're already so strong? Are you pulling my leg? What are you thinking? But Red, in a very serious moment, which, yep, shoot, there's that glimpse of game, Red, right there, simply says, we have to. Blue and I know how much it meant to Green to meet her parents. She lost them for the second time right in front of us. That's more than enough reason for us to fight. I actually like that, because they don't really get to show how much they care for each other, especially when it comes to Green, because she's always so in control and capable so often. So I will say, Green is very rarely just bowled over to this degree, because this wasn't a situation she could plan for. This wasn't a situation she saw coming. She was completely blindsided, unprepared. Like, she had her guard completely down. And to have all this happen to her, this is probably the lowest moment she could have possibly have gotten. Just period. I think that's why I feel so strongly about it. It's just like, that dude, no, don't do this to her. So no, I get it, and it makes me glad, because they don't always feel like friends. Red and Blue feel like friends. Everyone else in Green, aside from Silver, is just kind of like, I mean, yeah, we're cool, kind of sometimes, but now they're kind of on the warpath about this. Like, this will not fly. We'll do whatever it takes to make this right. And I kind of appreciate that. Blue says, but we don't have a lot of time to train. How are we going to improve our skills in such a short time? Red thinks about it for a moment, but then a voice calls out, there is one way for you to become stronger. It rings on her staff jingle as she says, people say friends gather at Knot Island, and this looks like an interesting friendship right here. I had a premonition that you two might come here to master my special moves. Okay. Hey, and all of Red's Pokemon are around the 80s, so yeah, it's a good point. Like, how do you get beaten when all of your Pokemon are in the level 80 by one Pokemon? I mean, that's a pretty damn powerful legendary Pokemon. That's the kind of Pokemon you need a Master Ball to get. Alright, chapter 272. Old Ultima puts them to the test. Apparently she's based off of Move Tutor? Huh. Interesting. But not a specific character. Well, technically a specific character, but just a sprite design. Ultima says, I had a premonition that you two might be able to master my special move. Bill, Red, and Blue say nothing and then turn away. Blue saying, hey, we're kind of in a hurry, Grandma. We don't have time to chat. Well, Red at least tries to be a little bit more polite about it. Ultima says, what? Come back here, you whippersnappers. And she waves her staff and fires off 2 rings. Red and Blue notice the approach, and they bring out their Venusaur and Charizard respectively. They manage to smack away the rings. The rings go flying up to the air. They come down and latch onto both Red and Blue's wrists. That's kind of metal. Like, dang. Red and Blue notice this. And Blue says, what did you do that for? And he goes up to punch the old lady. Like, dude, dang, Blue. Oh, and she manages to block it with her staff. Well, okay then. And I still don't know how I feel about Blue's immediate reaction to punch an old lady. But then again, considering his track record with old women, you know what? Like, thinking about that, I'll give him the pass on that one. Ultima smiles, saying, what else could I do? You were walking away from me. I had to stop you. She then brings out 2 Pokeballs from within the sleeve of her robe, saying, now if you are truly Pokemon trainers, use your Pokemon and show me the stuff you're made of. She sends out a Typhlosion and a Meganium. Dang. Okay, that's how you know she's actually someone worth going up against. Like, dang, 2 starters. She has her Typhlosion and Meganium attack Charizard and Venusaur, which, that's interesting. The stars of Kanto versus the stars of Johto. She says, let's hear the rumble of battle, the crackling of blazing fire. Pull it out. The power of Verdure? Oh, vegetation. Huh. Okay, cool. I've learned a new word. I doubt it'll be added to my lexicon, but okay, that's actually kind of cool. But Ultima's Pokemon go all in and they just start tearing ass. Red and Blue can only just barely get out of the way. Holy crap. Even Charizard and Venusaur are shocked, as well as everyone else, as they see the path of destruction that the two Pokemon managed to wreak. That just like, dang. Is she gonna have to pay for the damage she did to the Sea Gallop though? Yeah, even the sailor's just like, time to depart, time to prepare for departure. And he looks at all the destruction going, and then he sees the old woman who goes, oops. And the sailor says, Ultima, you again. Ultima says, sorry, got carried away. Put a little too much oomph into that. And Typhlosion just flat his tongue out, going like, sorry. The sailor says, oh, criminy, I let you on board because you said you're just going to sightsee at Kindle Road at Mount Ember. Kindle Road at Mount Ember? Huh. If you're gonna cause a ruckus as usual, I'll take you right back to Two Island. Understood, Ultima? I mean, really, he's being pretty generous considering the damage he did. Ultima says, all right, already, but shouldn't you be more respectful of your fragile elders? Bill's then is shocked, saying, Ultima? Red questions, you know her, Bill? Bill says, I've heard that name somewhere before, back when I was just a youngin'. A story about an old lady who lives alone on a far-off island near the Kanto mainland, where she safeguards the tradition of special Pokemon moves. And that old lady's moniker is Ultima. Ultima says, ooh, I'm glad to see my fame precedes me. With someone, at least. That's me, all right. Although Bill has a face of, and even more not happy. Blue says, a guardian of special moves. She might be amazing, but that doesn't give her the right to slap these things on us. They look like shackled. I love how Red's just quiet, but obviously a little perturbed. See, they're working in a little bit of that game characteristic. He's very chatty around his friends, but he can also just be very quiet in certain moments. Blue throws up his hand with the bracelet saying, undo these, now. Ultima simply turns away. Blue grabs Red's hand. Yep, grab your boyfriend's hand so you can go. As he says, that does it. Let's go, Red. But suddenly their hands with the bracelet are yanked back towards Ultima, and she says with a smile, as long as you're wearing those bracelets, you can't move more than 20 feet away from me. Blue says, hey, no fair. But Red holds out his hand. Blue questions this, but Red approaches saying, old lady, the move you showed us just now was amazing. It's hard to believe someone like you is the guardian of such a special Pokemon move, but that was pretty convincing. Red's like, game recognizes game. And yeah, some Pokemon have signature moves. I don't know if that's what we're going for here, but maybe. Red says, we need to get stronger. Much, much stronger. Will you teach us the special moves you've been guarding? Ultima smiles, saying, why, certainly. Like she's been waiting for a chance like this all her life. Meanwhile, aboard the Sea Gallop, now with fresh hole in one of the deck, you see Ultima relaxing on the boat as narration calls out, thank you for choosing our ship for your travel needs. Next stop, Two Island. Hey, I said all that nice stuff before, but I wanted this to be a venture with green too. But with the state that her parents are in, missing and all that, yeah, there wouldn't be much fun to be had on all of this, but I don't know, we've never had a pure adventure with red, blue, and green before. We have Scizor trying to break the ring around Blue's wrist, but obviously struggling, as Blue just casually says, what's up with you, Red? Red turns saying, huh? What? Blue says, what do you mean? Are you seriously thinking of letting that old lady train you? Red says, sure I am. You saw for yourself how powerful she is, didn't you? She clearly has more power. she's clearly more powerful than us. And she said she's willing to teach us the special moves she's been guarding all this time. This is a great opportunity, right? Blue says, well, you have a point. The old lady is definitely stronger than us. That story about how she's the guardian of the special Pokemon moves is probably no lie. But that's exactly why we can't trust her. Blue says, getting up. Red questions this, but Blue explains, saying, what if that not-so-innocent-looking old lady turns out to be the enemy? What if she knows all about those Pokemon who attacked us, and she turns out to be the mastermind behind it all? Which, honestly, not bad reasoning, especially after the situation with Giovanni, the Mask of Ice. Someone coming to you under the guise of being an ally and turning out to be an enemy isn't uncommon to them at this point, Blue says, and we're stuck with her and can't get away. Red shouts, the mastermind? You really believe that, Blue? Blue says, well, it's possible. An announcement comes over the ship saying, calling all passengers. Thank you for sailing with us. We are now arriving at 2 Island. Ultima gets up and stretches and calls out to the boys saying, come on, pull yourself together. And they make their way off of the ship, but watching them is none other than Green's Ditto. Okay, yeah. Oh, I did notice one of the Pokeballs was empty. I keep forgetting about her Ditto. But then again, Ditto uses that to its advantage as they make their way off of the ship. Red and Blue are led up a mountain stairway by Ultima. Someone says, hey, there's no one on this island. We're the only ones who got off the ship here too. Ultima says, that's right, and that's as it should be. This island doesn't accept unskilled trainers. That means first you must be tested. Blue says, phew, we finally reached your house. Ultima says, what are you talking about? This is just the entrance. Oh, jeez, what the heck? Why is it like this? Blue says, the entrance? Ultima explains, my house is located 2 miles from here, at a place called Cape Brink. This is just the entrance to the long corridor that leads to my house. What the hell? Yeah, in game, it's not that big. They go inside, and there's a sign above saying, the jumping path. As Ultima says, go on through. Blue looks around saying, so this is where you're going to teach us those special moves? But Ultima hits him on the head saying, silly child, did you think I would reveal them to you right away? The foundation of all moves is stamina, especially the strength of your legs and core. Hop to it, get your Venusaur and Charizard out. They do just that, as Ultima brings out one of Venusaur's vines and hands it to Charizard, saying, we'll use Venusaur's vine, and here, hold it, Charizard. Hop over the vine like a jump rope and keep jumping. By the way, the corridor will start tilting backwards soon, as both Red and Blue can barely stay upright as the corridor starts moving. Ultima goes out the entrance saying, you better hurry, I'll keep watch from outside. And so they're running and jumping rope at the same time. Red says, so this is what that sign, the jumping path, means. Blue says, if we fall over, we get dragged back to the beginning again. Meanwhile, Ultima is riding on her Dragonite. Freaking Dragonite, too. Days. This lady's got a lot going on. Blue calls out to her on the outside saying, so, how long do we have to do this for? Ultima says, until you've reached the end of the corridor, of course. By the way, the training sessions change every half mile or so. 22 years ago, a trainer who took on this challenge spent 8 hours in here, but he gave up 3/4 of the way through. I hope you'll break that record at least. Dang, vote of confidence right there. Blue says, she's a phony, Red, just like I thought. How are we going to learn those special moves by doing this? Red says, I have no idea, but Blue says, Charizard, I'm having trouble jumping. Spin around faster. While Red says, sir, could you slow it down a little? Then Red and Blue then look at each other like, buddy. Red then says, sir, follow Charizard's lead. And they just jump for rope even faster. And they make it to the end. Red saying, we did it. Ultima at the Nexus point says, well, not bad. Now for the next corridor, the path of catching. Oh, we have several Dodrio. Okay, so apparently these are based off of actual minigames. He says, get on the Dodrio I've lined up for you. Run through this moving corridor, but it's going to move faster as you do. Plus, you have to catch every single berry that falls from the ceiling. Oh, geez. And Red and Blue can proceed to do just that. And when Red stumbles on catching one, go, no, Blue manages to catch it. As they reach the end, Ultima says, okay, the last half now. Are you all But Blue is checking on Red, saying, "Are you alright, Red?" As they look to the sign, Blue says, "This time it's the path of battle. Where are we fighting?" Ultima says, "Your opponent stands before you." Blue questions, "What do you mean?" Ultima says, "Didn't I tell you? I will only teach the special move to one of you." Both Red and Blue look to each other in shock. I mean, they act as if they've never fought before. I guess it's been a while. Alright, and the last chapter of our video today, Chapter 273, Red and Blue make purple opponents. Really? Ultima tells the boys, "I will only teach the special move to one of you." And then she shoves them inside, saying, "Now, get inside and fight." And so there they are. He tells them, "You'll be fighting a 2-on-2 battle. You'll each use 6 Pokemon and you may replace them at any time." Red and Blue look to each other, worried. And then suddenly, the floor of the place starts moving. Blue questions, "This corridor moves too?" The corridor at the path of jumping moved backwards. The second corridor at the path of catching keeps moving faster and faster. And now the path of battle, both sides are moving independently. Ultima says, "That's right. That's not all. The speed of the corridor correlates with the attack of your Pokemon." They're both shocked by this, as Ultima says, "The corridor of the trainer who is attacking will move faster, while the corridor of the trainer who is receiving damage will slow. The trainer who reaches the end of the corridor first wins. Now, start your battle." Red brings out Gyarados and Snorlax, while Blue brings out Porygon 2 and Golduck. Blue says, "I never thought I'd end up fighting you here, Red." Red says, "Yeah, Blue, me neither. If we think about it logically." Blue says, "If we think about it logically, there's no reason for us to take this battle seriously." Red questions, "What do you mean?" Blue tells him, "Well, only one of us is going to learn the special move in the end anyways. I don't care whether it's you or me. You only need that move to help us face the enemy and help Green, so it doesn't matter who gets it. If I lose on purpose, the move will be yours. And if you lose on purpose, the move will be mine. It's as simple as that." Red says, "You're right. But are you really okay with that, Blue?" And Blue says, "Well," and chuckles. Blue has his Golduck use Iron Tail, and Porygon 2 use Tri-Attack. Iron Tail knocks Snorlax into Blastoise, and Blue says, "It would be easier that way, but if you're going to be my opponent, Red, I have to fight you with everything I've got." And Red says, "Me too." Red has his Gyarados use Body Slam, while he has his Snorlax use Strength. But suddenly the path starts to move out of nowhere. Ultima says Blue's Pokemon were weakened by your Gyarados' ability to intimidate, but the damage dealt by Blue's first attack was more than yours. By the way, even though the corridor is moving, it's deep enough to dig below it. The movement of the corridor is directly connected to the battle, so Red says, I get it now. That's what that means. Okay, in that case, Gyarados. He has Gyarados use Hyper Beam on Golduck. Blue says, we're so far away, but it's such a powerful move. Golduck, hide for now. And Golduck hides underground, even though they're on a conveyor belt? Okay. Blue thinks, I have the advantage with my magic attack because Golduck will have the benefit of surprise. But Red seems to be ready, as he has Snorlax use Earthquake. And Blue says, nuts. Red tells him Earthquake is a move that affects the whole area. It will inflict damage on both Golduck and Porygon. That's not all. Golduck is using it to dig. Golduck is using dig, so it'll receive twice as much damage, right? Yeah, I've made that mistake before at least once too. Golduck hits the ground hard as Red's conveyor speeds up even more. Ultima says, plus, Red's Gyarados isn't affected by Earthquake because it's a flying type. Looks like Red has the upper hand with that attack, and so Blue's chirp is cut a little short. Red says, one down. Well done, Snore. Gyara. But suddenly Gyarados looks paralyzed. Red says it's paralyzed. Tri-Attack received at the beginning must have taken effect. Oh no. And as Blue calls out from behind Red, he says, this sure brings back memories, Red, of that time back in the Pokemon League when we fought each other. What a thrill. Oh, as he sends his Scizor, who's carrying his Machamp, And talk about a flying press. Oh, and that's the end? Dang. Man, I gotta tell you, we're really getting really deeply invested into Green's story. And I don't think she'll be too out of commission. I really still hope, because, man, she really needs to be involved in all of this. But I still just don't know to what degree. And then how does Team Rocket factor in? Was it them attacking? Or was it something more? Was the whole Pokédex situation a setup? And Blue's right to be a little bit on edge about a lot of this, but we'll see. And it is interesting seeing Red and Blue face off yet again for the first time in a pretty long time, all things considered. I wonder where this will all end up going. Who will win? It feels like we shouldn't be going through all this just because time feels a little bit of the essence, but they really don't have any leads either, and they need to get a little bit stronger. So, we'll see. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and hope to see you later. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.